right now. Today is the day that you choose to change the rest of your life. It is time to turn your setback into the greatest comeback story ever told, and nobody is more capable than you. This is the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast, the future #1 weight loss podcast in the world. I am your host, Donato Russo. I hope you enjoy the show today. If this is your first time here and you enjoy the show, please subscribe and spread the word of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast wherever you are and to whomever will listen. If you'd like to connect on social media or wherever else, check out my Linktree page, Linktree/The Ranting Weight Watcher. Let's connect today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 152 of the Ranting Weight Watcher podcast. I'd like to apologize for the sound of my voice. Sometimes the work you're doing is more important than how you feel. So let's push through.
Journey updates.
I'm down 0.4 this week. And since it's the first weigh-in of August, I am down 0.4 for the month of August. Total loss since January 2019 is 164.8 pounds. Total pounds remaining to get to the 175 milestone is 10.2 pounds. Total pounds remaining to get to the 200-pound milestone is 35.2 pounds. Phase 3, week 1, has begun. We ended it with the only day being Wednesday, as I suspected, which was the difficult day of the week. But nevertheless, the numbers still fell in our favor. Even though we went over numbers on Wednesday, the averages all played out the way I want them to. The week 17 calorie average was 2,311 calories per day. The goal is 2,300. The week 17 protein average is 251 grams per day. The goal for protein is 229 grams per day. Week 17 carb average is 175 grams per day. The goal for phase 3 is 175 grams per day. The week 17 fat average is 71 grams per day. The goal is 90 grams per day. So I'm not sure if everyone can see this or if it's just Spotify listeners. But every week I put a question, and the question always is the same every week. Is there a topic you would like to hear about? And rarely do I ever get any answers from it, but I did notice that I recently got an answer to one, and the person that was listening was wanting to hear about the mind games that we fall for. Now, I definitely did do an episode on the mind games, and I believe it is episode 46. But I think that, if I remember correctly, episode 46 is also part of a series, which I think starts at episode 44. It's not all about mind games, but the mind games part is definitely episode 46. But I think if you start 44, 45, 46, and 47, you'll get the gist of the entirety of the series I was creating there. They all kind of continue off of each other. But if you're just looking for something mind game specific, episode 46 is for you. But as I sat there and thought about that, something presented itself that kind of all tied together. I was in a workshop and someone was talking about having a visit to the doctor and the visit not going well. The doctor giving them some news that they didn't really want to hear. And as I listened to them talk, I thought this was a way that there was a way that this could tie in and it could be the focus on another Mind Games episode. The person that was talking had said one thing that kind of triggered me. We all get there at some point where we're facing the truth. Now, for me, I faced the truth the morning I decided, after years and years of avoiding a scale and living in delusions, I stepped on a scale to face the truth, right? Well, some people face the truth in different ways. They go to the doctor. They end up having to face the truth from what a doctor says to them. So either way, no matter how you end up facing the truth, they were talking. There was one thing they said that triggered me, and that was, I guess I'm going to have to start missing out some of the times on the food in order to get to where I want to be. And I just thought, if this isn't a mind game that we play on ourselves, I don't know what is. If it's one thing I can't make you understand, it's this. But the quicker you could understand it, because it is true, okay? No matter how much you may think otherwise, no matter how much other people say otherwise, it is the truth. And that truth is, food isn't something you can miss out on. It's not a good time. It's not a symbol of happiness. It's not a comfort in sadness. It's not a distraction from anger. Food has always been one thing: fuel for the body. That's all it's ever been. That's all it ever will be. By the way they see food, people tend to make things far more difficult for themselves than they need to be. And I'm one of those people. And it took 41 years of my life to finally get it. And I'm not going to allow everyone else to just hope they get it in their time. I'm going to shout it from the rooftops until everyone gets it. Food will never represent any of the things I said. It will never represent happiness. It will never represent a good time. It will never represent comfort in sadness. It will never represent distraction in anger. It will never represent any of those things. Food will always be fuel for the body. That's all it ever will be. And sometimes the way we look at it can also cloud our judgment for when we have to make choices. The one thing you cannot purchase in this world is a healthy body. You can purchase a lot of things, but a healthy body is the one thing you have to earn. And the one thing earning a healthy body teaches you is the difference between instant gratification and delayed gratification. We live in a instant coffee microwave world where everybody wants everything yesterday. They work 20 and 30 years to create the problems they have, and they want them fixed in less than a day. It's true. They create problems because they have a blinder on their face. They think they're not creating it. But anybody when you take a 40,000 foot view of their life, you can see that the problems they have right now have been being created for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Every single one of them. Behavior patterns can tie back to childhood for most people. And for most people, if they could just see their behavior for what it is, rather than excuse their behavior, they would finally be able to correct it. People spend more time defending their behavior than they do learning from the fact that it's a bad behavior and correcting it and moving forward from that. They would rather waste years more time defending the behavior than actually coming up with the solution that will fix their problem. And oftentimes they create a problem so big it seems insurmountable. You know, every day we make hundreds or possibly even thousands of decisions a day. Now, I want you to think for a second. What are your goals? Health goals, financial goals, it could be anything. Educational goals. What are your goals? How many decisions have you made that are taking you toward those goals today? And how many decisions have you made that are taking you away from those goals today? Because I'll make the argument that every single decision is either taking you toward them or away from them. Even if it sounds like one has nothing to do with the other. Every decision you make either puts you toward your goals or away from them. It's either a instant gratification decision or a delayed gratification decision. We work our whole lives in an attempt to create a healthy body. Now, the overwhelming majority of the people that start to try to make themselves healthy, the overwhelming majority end up going in circles their entire lives and never get to where they want to be. Because they never break the cycles necessary for them to actually get there. They just keep yo-yoing or going around in circles. They never actually get to where they're going. Some of us will decide that the work has gotten too hard. And then we settle for where we are. Wherever we made it to, oh, this is good enough right here. To get further is just way too much work. And they could be on the brink of their goals, but settle for where they currently are because they just don't want to do the work, because it's gotten too hard. And the smallest portion of us, about 2%, push beyond anything we ever thought was possible. Beyond anything we ever thought we were capable of. And they actually achieve optimal health. That's what we're going for. It's not a scale result. It's not a clothing size. It's optimal health. I could show you pictures of the same woman being the same weight, and it would look like two different women because they decided to chase something called body composition rather than chasing a scale number. You're staring at two pictures of the same woman at the same weight. And each picture of each of these women stand as proof that the scale is basically useless when you start paying attention to what's important. When you start to chase optimal health, the best possible version of you, when you start to say you care less about the scale, but you care more about what makes up the number. How much fat makes up that number? How much muscle makes up that number? How much bone makes up that number? Water, etc. The list goes on and on. Suddenly, you could have two pictures of yourself at the same weight, at the same scale number, and you could be two completely different people. And we fall victim to the instant gratification all the time. And the reason we fall a victim to it, it's pretty simple. You may not want to believe it, but it doesn't make it any less true. We live in a delusion that our goals are far away. So when we are presented with decisions that will either take us away from our goals or take us toward our goals, because our delusion shows us that our goals are so far away, it makes us also believe that this decision in this moment is insignificant toward that goal because how far away it actually is. We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. I now present to you the Ranting Weight Watcher Accountability Creed. If you choose this day to say this creed, you are accountable to me, the author. You are also accountable to all of those before you who have taken the creed, and all of those after you who will take the creed. But most of all, you are accountable to yourself. Now recite with me the Accountability Creed. Nothing can stand in my way because I choose to be unstoppable. My challenges crumble in my presence because I choose strength when I am weak. My insecurities have no power over my life because I choose confidence in the face of fear. I own every last one of my mistakes because I choose growth over mediocrity. The mirror and the scale are powerless because I move forward in spite of the result. Circumstances are not obstacles because I see solutions instead of problems. The demons of my past can no longer torment me because I choose to renew my mind daily. All things are possible as long as I believe, because if God is for me, who can be against me? This is the creed I declare each day. It is about what I do, not what I say. I will learn the work that needs to be done. I will never stop, even when I've won. I will work consistently, no matter the cost. I refuse to believe that all hope is lost. I will work when I want to. I will work when I don't. I will work when they are cheering. I will work when they won't. I will work when it's easy. I will work when it's hard. The atonements that I've made are made with no regard. I will work when it's cold. I will work when it's hot.
because choices have consequences, justified or not. When I think I know it all, I will start back at one, because regardless of what I think, the work is never done. And from this moment forward, when times are tough, I choose to believe that I am enough.
And we are back. Thanks for sticking with me. In reality, it's this exact process that will keep us exactly where we are. If you believed you were 5 years away from your goal today, let's just put a number on it. I'm not saying you are, but if you believed you were 5 years away from your goal, and you go out with friends and you did good, you're not really worried about how you chose dinner, and the opportunity to dessert comes along. Now, dessert will throw you over on points, calories, whatever it is you're tracking. But you don't want to miss out. And your goals, well, they're 5 years away. How can this decision affect that? The one thing you need to realize is there are a lot more of these moments where you're making a decision like this than you can actually remember. There are so many more situations. This dinner out or whatever, where you're deciding whether or not to have a dessert, knowing it will throw you off. That's just one. There are millions of scenarios that you make decisions on regularly. And each one of them has the same implication. And each time, subconsciously, you're thinking the same way. Oh, my goals are so far away. And that's why the instant gratification choice seems so much more appealing. You know, this is kind of why I created the whole checklist challenge. Because if I can get a bunch of you tracking everything 7 days a week with like 97% accuracy, if I can get you doing all of that, I'll bet we would be able to look back however many weeks and see a number of situations where each one of these choices pushed your goals back further. Every single one of them. And it's not until you can depend on your tracking and say it is tracked 7 days a week and it's 97% accurate. Regardless of whether or not you went over on calories, points, whatever it is. I'm not even talking about those limits. I'm not even talking about staying within your plan. I'm just talking about what you ate, what actually went in your mouth is on the tracker up to 97% accurate. I'm willing to bet in Vegas we would see a number of choices, a number of times where a decision you made is pushing your goals further away. So if you are able to do this, then maybe you should take a look back. But if you're not, that's okay too. Because it's really not about figuring it out in that sense. It's about seeing things from a different perspective. Because thinking you're missing out on food, it just shows us that we don't have our eyes on what is important. It shows us that what we say are our goals and what we think is important in life are two different things that are contradicting each other. This idea that you're missing out on food because you're not eating it and everyone else is, it's going to keep affecting you, your journey, as long as you allow it to remain. It doesn't ever go away. And the only person that can remove it is you. I can't remove it. Food is not an event. It's not happiness. It's not anything except fuel for the body. And sometimes the fuel we put in it makes our body run better. And sometimes it makes it run worse. That's all it ever is. Until you believe that, you may be going in circles your entire life. If you believe you're missing out because you're choosing not to eat food, you're going to struggle your whole life. The sooner you can realize that it's just food. It's not that if you're still in the same room with the people, you're still at the event, what exactly are you missing out on? What? Help me understand that. You're at the event. You're with the people. What could food possibly have to do with it? You know, if we can ever start to believe and act as if every decision we make could be one decision away from our goal, if we could ever actually believe that the decisions we make are one decision away from our goal, we would be unstoppable. Unstoppable. Because that ability to switch off the instant gratification pleasure of the situation and the ability to say, no, I'm up for much more important things. And this is going to set me back. The ability to do that will probably cut that time, whatever we said 5 years before, it would probably cut that time in half. Because in reality, if we ever were a fly on a wall watching every single one of us, and we could see every instance where there was an event, a moment where the food that was available made you feel like you were missing out, and it puts you in an awkward decision. If we ever saw how many times you said yes in the moment to instant gratification and compared it to how many times you said no and chose delayed gratification, my guess is that the ratio is going to be astronomically in favor of yes, choosing instant gratification. And that's because we walk around believing our goals are so far away. Our next goal in our mind has to be, this could be the moment. This could be the one thing that causes me to get to my goal. This decision can cause an avalanche of positive things toward my goal. Every decision. Every single decision, if they had that kind of weight. Instead of seeing it as, I'm going to have to miss out on food. Maybe in the moment when you're faced with an uncomfortable decision, you can ask yourself this instead, from this perspective. Because like I said, it is about perspective. Instead of saying, do I really want to miss out on this food? Maybe you can ask yourself, what can I become if I just say no this time? What can I become if I just say no this time? If we ask ourselves that question every single time we are in a compromising situation, to choose either to go toward our goals or away from our goals, if we ask ourselves this question from this perspective, this is a perspective of strength. What can I become if I just say no today? So basically, this is how it's got to go. The way you think about every choice you make has to change. Because the way you're doing it right now, if you're looking at your goals and you think your goals are 5 years away, 10 years away, whatever the number is, and you're looking at these indulgences in the moment, the here and now is always going to be far more appealing because those goals seem so far away. But the problem with this is, every time you choose instant gratification, it only ensures that your goals stay that far away. Every time you choose instant gratification, your goals reset. If you thought your goals were 5 years away, the day you choose instant gratification, that's the day they are now reset to 5 years away. Do you understand what I'm doing here? You have to believe with all of your might that every choice you make is one choice away from your goal. If you knew right now, right this moment, you were one choice away from your goals, your attitude towards the instant gratificational moment would be very different. If you knew your choices led to your goal and you were one choice away, this indulgence would be meaningless to you. Meaningless. But the problem is, if you never say no, you never get to the one choice. And every time you say yes, you're resetting the clock. And let's be honest here for a second. If we look back on your life, I'm willing to say, if we're being honest, you've probably said yes to indulgences way more times than you've said no. You've probably chosen instant gratification way more times than you've chose delayed gratification. So, if we're thinking logically, in the future, we have to do the exact opposite. We have to choose delayed gratification way more than we choose instant. Or we will never be one choice away from our goals. So your belief that every choice you make has either a consequence or a path to your goal has to start right now. It is essential that you believe this way. Because if you don't, you're doomed to go in the circles you've been going in all your life. The power is and always has been in your own hands. And that power is the power to send you toward your goals, and it is also the power to send you away from them. We have to see it for what it is. The truth is the truth. It doesn't matter if this makes you mad or sad, or none of this matters. All that you can do from this point is make the corrections of the behavior from this moment forward. If every time going forward, the ratio goes toward delayed gratification more often than it goes to instant, you are going toward your goals. But if you continue this method of choosing instant gratification, you will continue going in circles. Ultimately, the choice is yours. I cannot make you see this. Only you can. It begins with you. It always has been. It always will be about you. Your choice to see and correct your behavior has always been the real task. And it will always be the most difficult task. But you can do it. I believe in you. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all.